Howdy, howdy. It's your old pal, Tiki the Hut. Starting another stream. Today I'm pretty excited. So we're actually working on some Konflikt 47 models. The last couple days, as I apologize, last couple streams, we were working on my kit bashed Chaos Space Marines. It was part of a vow I did for Morning Glory's channel. And we finished them. They look pretty cool. The base was a lot of work. The base was more work than the models. But they're done. So now we're moving on. If you take a look at the table here, we got some Soviet Ursus Infantry. You know, some werebears. I actually got to do a machine gun to put on top of my truck over there. You see the turret. That's actually the light compression cannon for my Chiha tank. I need to do that as well. And then just working on some assorted Japanese infantry. So as you can tell, I do have a squad of 10 Imperial Japanese infantry. These are, they're the standard loadout, which they kind of recommend. I've ran them that way. They're not bad, but they're not good. Kind of like a multi-tool. It's the NCO with a submachine gun and a light machine gun team. It's alright. You know, like that meme, like, it's alright. But honestly, I recommend, if we look at the unpainted, I recommend the 15-man... Everybody's got a rifle, including the NCO. I think that's the better way to run it, in my opinion. But that 10-man team's not fully done. I gotta clean it up. You know, I missed a few canteens and things like that. So I think first off, I'm gonna finish off the machine gun. We're gonna glue it to our truck. That way, boom, we got another light truck done with a machine gun mounted on it. And then I'll show you how I do the camouflage for my vehicles. If you can tell, it's not quite tiger striped. If you look. These aren't really tiger stripes. They are very thin. It almost kind of gives like a vine appearance. I kind of call it like a vineyard camo. So that's what I was kind of going for. Again, this is for Konflikt 47. Not really for bolt action, though I do play both. So it's not theoretically a historical camouflage. However, there was a Alpha 6M, a Zero, that did have that paint scheme. And it was really cool. But I've never seen a tank or a truck in that kind of paint scheme. So for those of you who may not know much about Japanese small arms, you know, small arms research in World War II is very interesting, and particularly that of the Japanese, clearly unbiased, as you can tell with the theming of everything. But the Japanese had some very interesting machine guns. Very interesting designs. Some of them were effective, some not so much, but they were all very interesting in their own way. One of my personal favorites is the I mean, this one's actually pretty good. The Type 96 and the Type 97s. What made these effective is, as you can tell, they are they're very similar to what you would call almost like a Brin gun. Very, very similar. But you have to remember, the Japanese served overseas with a lot of different militaries. So they kind of stole ideas. These are actually really effective. Hey, what's going on, Matthew? So the primer I use for these is Citadel spray primer, the Zandari Dust. Also, something kind of new to the stream, if you look at the bottom left, you'll see just a slideshow, honestly, nothing fancy, a bunch of Konflikt 47 units. If you see a unit flash by and it piques your interest, feel free to ask me about it. You know, I'd love to talk about it, kind of cover it. That's my big goal here, this channel. I started doing Konflikt 47 stuff. I've done some other things like D&D and Fallout. I play a lot of different games, but I love Konflikt 47. It's definitely where my heart is, so I'm trying to cover more and more of it in these live streams. So for the Japanese in bolt action and Konflikt 47, you can take two different types of trucks. They have like a decently large truck, and they have something called a light truck, which only holds like 7 guys, pretty small. I like them because they're cheap, and I generally put a medium machine gun on it. That's how I pay my officer tax. Not a lot of people agree with it. You know, it's how I personally run my army. Is I put my officer in the truck with a machine gun to have him drive around like a mobile machine gun team. As you can tell, this definitely is not a Zuzu truck, but the way I play it is, you know, the Japanese kind of begged, borrowed, and stole whatever transpo they could, depending on what island they're on. Yeah, Matthew, that's what I do, especially for infantry like this, because Japanese are a horde infantry. Like, I have 60 under the table. These are just some extra ones I'm painting. But I get the spray primer in the color of their uniform, and then I just pick a color and hit the other thing. So once I hit that, then I go after, I use snakebite leather speed paint. That's when I get their boots, you know, their ammo pouches and stuff like that. And then just, you know, wood, or brown for wood, so I'll paint their rifles, you know. With the leather, make sure I get their scabbard and stuff like that. And I'll just go color by color. It just hits all the stuff on the model. And then by the time I've colored their gear and hit their web gear and their helmet and I've painted their flesh, they're basically ready. You know, it doesn't take too long. Just tedious. So, kind of a fun fact, you may get a kick out of this, how much of a nerd I am. So for these trucks, you know, when I'm adding the machine guns to them, sorry, I'm still trying to figure out where the camera is, there we go. It goes against my, you know, American nature, you know, to put it over the driver's side, because anyone who's ever done, like, mounted ops knows you don't directly want a weapon anywhere near the driver, because it'll blind and deafen them. But the way I play these is these trucks are stolen, likely from a British-controlled island, so therefore the vehicles would be right-hand drive, so therefore I put the machine gun mounted over the left side of the cab. Yeah, don't feel bad. I had to like double look how I spelled them. Yeah, it's spelled uniform Romeo Sierra uniform Sierra. You know, so URSUS. I think Ursa sounds better. I mean, that's generally what we call it. You know, as far as like the constellation, you know, like Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, or just straight up werebears. That's what they are. Dude, they are gnarly. Here, okay, so first off, these are Japanese riflemen, so without getting too weird into it, just anatomically, Japanese males at that time in the 40s were shorter than the average male in the country or in the world you find now. But here's a, tell you what, here's a rifleman standing up. And here's the werebear. Look at that. Look at that. You could dunk him. Absolutely insane for a size comparison. Absolutely insane. So in the rules, yeah, they are pretty effective. They're surprisingly low cost. 3 of these big giant buff bastards is about 66 points, so not insane. When you take them as a troop choice in Konflikt 47, you could take up to 6 per troop choice. So it's like 22 points a pop. It's not bad. They'll definitely stop Shrek wolfing, and they'll rip through zombies. So that's kind of their benefit. Alright, now we're going to work on the light compression cannon for my Chiha. So the Chiha I already have built and already running bolt action, but it's got the standard turret on it. You got the commander sticking out like sniper bait with his little radio circular antenna and the copula. So this is the paint scheme I'm using for my IJ army. I call them the Tiki Terrors. They're pretty cool. And I'll show you how I accomplish this paint scheme. It's nothing impressive. Like I said, I'm not highly skilled. No golden demon in this house. But I'll show you how I accomplish this kind of very quick little, not even tiger stripe. It's more like vine. Like vineyard camo. So I take painter's tape, and then I just start tearing it, and I kind of tear it into shreds, almost kind of like into, make sure you don't have any straight lines. You want to tear it on both sides, very thin, and you really kind of want to go in and out, in and out, in and out, very ragged looking. And you kind of put that on the turret, and then what you're going to do is you're going to slowly, with your smallest brush, you're going to outline that paint. Feel free to get it on the blue paint. It's painter's tape, no one cares. But when you take it off, it'll give you your kind of guidelines, and then you kind of go in and make them as thick and or thin as you want. So as you can see, I'm kind of going in, and then I'll stop, and I'll kind of like start tearing outward a little bit more. Just trying anything to keep it from being uniform. Not to get all gee-whiz military nerd with it, but that's the whole point of camo, is you don't want anything that's uniform, because our eyes are naturally pulled to symmetrical outlines and stuff like that. So you want this to look a little bit different. Well, I say that it may take several attempts to get a good paint stripe going. You know, put down the tiplet, especially if you just like kind of recently trimmed your nails. Like I keep mine very trim, so it's kind of hard to like really get purchased on these damn things. But you know, just keep trying until you get a good stripe going. You'll be like, ooh, that one looks like a good template. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull another one. There you go. So it's easier to get one side while it's still actually on the main tape thing. And you just kind of keep tearing back and forth, back and forth. Don't worry about making it too long, because you can always tear it off into pieces and use it in multiple spots. Ah. Alright, so we have this side that's pretty ragged. This side's pretty straight. So the trick is to leave enough so you actually have room. You have big old meat hooks like me to actually pinch these things. There we go. Oh, yeah, here we go. This one might be good. Start kind of tearing the inboard a little bit. Alright, that's looking a little too uniform, so let's go out a little. There we go. Alright. So we got this one that's not bad. Oop, sorry, I'm still learning where all my streaming stuff is. We got this nice, oh, look at that, yeah, look at that long guy. Yeah, it's gonna be good. And if you want, for extra points, you've already painted the tank. And like I said, forgive my shameless shilling for Konflikt 47. But the cool thing is this tank right here, this lovely Chiha Type 97, it came in my start collecting army, and it came with a regular turret and the stuff to make the, you know, Weird War light compression cannon turret too. So anytime you get a tank in a Konflikt 47 kit, you get both the original tank for bolt action plus the weapon sprue to make it Weird War. So that's really cool. It's like a good value. So let me take off this. What I was talking about G-Wiz points is you pop on the actual turret, and then you might want to kind of line up the stripes where it kind of matches the stripes that I already have, if that makes sense. See, if this is pointed straight, these stripes are going to kind of line up just right with the kind of stripes that are already on there, if that makes sense. And again, I'm just an amateur, but I've always found this kind of works pretty cool for me. You do kind of want them going in like one direction, if that makes sense. Not the shitty band, but the actual direction. Also, for your desert guys, don't forget getting a cheap like net, like a little small net, or even just like chicken meshing, like metal chicken meshing. Make sure it's real small. That's also pretty good for adding like that kind of like cargo, almost grid look for some of your desert stuff. So that's kind of what your turrets, whatever you're kind of painting, will look like. You'll have all these like blue painter stripes, and you just slowly trace over it with a brush, whatever color you want. When you pull off the paint stripes, it'll leave behind like almost like these little, almost look like kind of fissures, and then you just follow them up as thick or as thin as you want. And then you can feel free to go freehand a little bit. If it looks like stuff doesn't connect, you can just do you know? Yeah, only like I said, I pay for all this out of my money like everybody else. I don't know why I said that. I mean, I'm not sponsored by anyone or anything. But something I really enjoy is these Warhammer kits. The value is insane. Like I said, you guys saw me recently kit bash those Space Marines. It wasn't too expensive because I did a lot of kit bashing and I kind of converted them myself. But every time I crack open a Warhammer box, I'm just amazed by what all you get on the sprue. It's a lot of value. And these Konflikt 47 kits, that's my favorite. You know, you get the tank and the weird ward upgrade. That's always something that's pretty cool. Alright, we got some tape on our turret, you know, nothing too fancy. And we'll see what these lines look like, and if we gotta add more, we'll add some more. So like I said, when you're doing this, don't be afraid to like paint on the line. You know, get some paint on the model and on the tape. That way you know you're getting a good line going. Yeah. So, man, I'm putting out some lore videos. I'm pretty slow doing it. I'm not gonna lie, live streaming is actually easier than editing videos. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so the history goes, there's Western Europe, there's Eastern Europe, there's Pacific, there's the Middle East, and there's also Italy. And they're focusing more, when I speak of Eastern Europe, they're also focusing a lot in Finland. So some of your bigger players are Germany and the US, Russia, Finland's got its own thing going on. And in the Middle East, it's actually a lot of Soviet versus British, because it's kind of earlier in the war. There's a lot of our allies that kind of come into it. Oh, and then during the attack in Western Europe in this alternate history, Germany gives a pretty good sneak attack when the US isn't looking. And after Battle of the Bulge, they slap Italy real hard that no one saw coming. So what happens is Italy splits. Northern Italy still stays allied to the Axis powers, while Southern Italy becomes the Kingdom of Italy, like a monarchy, and they follow with the Allies. So Northern Italy's Axis, Southern Italy's Allies. So any theater you can think of, there's still a lot of conflict going on in 1947. Asia's, with the technology, Japan figured out how to make stealth submarines, so now they're an absolute monster, navally speaking, so it makes the fighting a lot harder on the islands because you can't reliably drop off troops and logistics. So it's pretty interesting. So how's your Africa core in your desert camo coming along? Or have you made any thoughts about how you want to do yours? Hey, what's going on, buddy? No Radio Tiki. For those who don't know, that was my first attempt to go on live. I made this super cool, like 8-hour long, like Fallout radio mix. Granted, using those songs, but everything was edited, and I had like all my own radio DJ stuff. YouTube still beat me like a ridded mule with a power maul. So I learned my lesson on using copyright music. Radio Tiki, that's hilarious. How's it going, buddy? I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you up this late, man. Thanks for joining. Nice. I'm glad you had some conflict guys in your pile of gray. It makes me happy. I hope the hobby grows. So my old shovel-wielding buddy, if you're just joining us, I'm showing him my super easy way of doing, not even really tiger stripes, just like kind of lines going across. So I just use painter's tape. It works real world, so I figured why not knock this out. Well, thanks for dropping by, buddy. It's nice to see you. Hey, Mortal, what's going on? Yeah, man, it's Konflikt 47. I know you saw in the chat we were all talking about possibly doing a live stream of Halo Reach altogether. Mortal, do you play Halo at all? Have you ever played Halo before? Yeah, Mortal, I never realized how much easier Halo 3 was, so I watched you play it. I was like, damn, that one actually is pretty easy. Just like I never realized how brutal, or more importantly, how awesome Halo 2 was. Oh man, that sounds like a good group of troops. Some German Falcon jump infantry and some zombies. Oh yeah. Right? That's what I was saying. I remember the Halo 2 release. That's how old I am. Oh my god, I'm old. Honestly, thanks for showing up, Thanatos. I know it's late for you. We're in the same time code, so I know it's late for you, buddy. I really appreciate you showing up. I appreciate the support, man. It means a lot. It really does. Thank you, brother. So, just like prom night, it's time to kind of pull these off and see what we got underneath. I'm almost twice as nervous. But so far, it doesn't look too bad. Like I said, these aren't supposed to be perfect lines. It just kind of gives you like a, kind of like a guide to go off of. Trick is just try and get them all kind of going in like one direction. Ah, not too shabby, not too shabby. You can see some stripes there. Let's pull our tank commander off, pick up our Chiha here. Hey, there we go. Look at that. The stripes even kind of line up a little bit. Nice. Nice. Not too shabby. Just got to clean these lines up. But yeah, look at that. You could swap out turrets. If you want to pay the extra price for your light compression cannon, these things are pretty gnarly. Or you can go with the light howitzer with a little commander sticking out. Hey, Evolution, what's going on, brother? Yeah, you just missed my super cheap, fast, easy tutorial for, I'm not calling it tiger stripes, I'm calling it the patented, Tiki, vineyard camo. You know, to get, like, little, these little vineyard stripes. So this is the turret we did have. You know, it's pretty easy. Not a big deal. Now we got this. Actually kind of lined up a little bit. We're pretty happy with that. I played a lot of Space Marine, the first one. The multiplayer was phenomenal. I don't know if anyone else played that a lot. I played that a lot. It was great. I had fun making a lot of the chapters too. Like when I made like Iron Hands, and you know, I try to like give like a lot of like steel colored parts and stuff like that, you know, try to make it look like them. Yeah, I remember berries. Matthew. I was out there waiting. I was never a WoW player myself, but my brothers were. So I remember them telling me, like, while they're waiting for like the new releases for World of Warcraft. Like people used to line up on opposite sides of GameStop, like Horde on one side and Alliance on the other. You just don't see that kind of culture anymore, man. That was a lot of fun. What I think the first Space Marine got well, particularly in the multiplayer, is the heavy bolter. Man, a heavy bolter felt like a heavy bolter. I mean, you would have to like literally kind of brace and stand in place and just start mowing down orcs or other enemy Space Marines. Like that was, they did really well. I think that's what they did overall well. The scale was good, and the weapon feel was really good in the first Space Marine game. Do want to say again, I appreciate you guys joining me. Like I said, I know it's either too late or too early, wherever you are, but I appreciate you guys stopping by and joining me and chit chat with me, man. You guys helped me catch up. You helped me slay my my pile of shame. I'm slaying the grade because of y'all, and I appreciate it. So does my wife. She's tired of staring at my boxes of models. So all I'm doing now is I got one of my, brushes that's in better shape, and I'm just kind of neatening up these lines. And just kind of separating them, make sure they end differently. No, I mean, yes and no. You're not wrong. So it's funny, the actual Imperial Japanese Army uniform looks very similar to the Russian summer uniform. So it's a mix of Japanese models, plus those giant werebears are 100% Russian. Those are Soviet models. So I'm just finishing up some of my Japanese stuff, and I'm diving into the werebears. Yeah, it would. That's what I'm hoping for. Um, I'm hoping this new edition for Bolt Action also brings some light into Conflict 47. So the last I heard from, there's an open day coming up for Warlord Games, so we should get some more intel. Last one we got last year, we heard release of there's plastic kits for Conflict 47 on the way. So from people I talked to, that's one of the things holding them back, is they like the looks of the kit, but a lot of them are all, like you can see this is resin. So a lot of the kits are resin, or those big ass bears, those bears are full metal. Like I could put 3 in a sock and knock someone out for like 2 weeks with those things. So they're expensive. So that's why a lot of people don't want to get into Conflict, because everything else in Warlord is priced well. The plastic infantry are pretty cheap. These Japanese riflemen, I get about 30 in a box for like $33 or $34. Like that's pretty legit. Those bears, like 3 bears for like $25. That's almost like GW pricing. So you're kind of like, Conflict 47 can be expensive, but I'm hoping the prices will come down when they start doing more plastic kits and less resin and metal kits. Alright team, once I finished eating up these this little vineyard camo, now patented, you heard it here first, vineyard camo for this thing, then I'll get to work on the big old werebear infantry. I gotta finish those Japanese, but I just vowed those werebears, so they're top of my list to finish. Actually, yeah, I'd say vineyard. I feel like this camo will work really well if you're running like Italians or like Malta or anything like that. I mean, from my travels, from my own personal experience from spending time in those places, especially like Turkey, Italy, generally anywhere in the Mediterranean. This is kind of a cool a camo, like this khaki with green vineyard stripes. It's not bad. Hey, Nathan, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in the chat, brother. Alright, so that's it for the for my backlogged Japanese. We put the machine gun on the truck. And we finished the light compression cannon for the Chiha. We put on the stripe so it actually matches our Chiha tank. So those are awesome. Those are done. And even though I clearly need to finish these Japanese infantry to make them look like those Japanese infantry, we're here for the bears. So I'm going to start working on the bears. Oh yeah, yep, that turret went on just right, and that stripes match up. That's good. Good enough for me. I call them 3 foot pretty, where you can hold them out 3 feet away, they look okay. That's my style, sir. Oh no, they are full on stuck. So the way this kind of works is, so the Americans, when it came time for genetics, they tried to make, Captain American super soldiers, and they did, and they're legit. And the Germans are like, humanity's kind of a dead end. We think if we splice in animal DNA, it'll be better. So the Germans did Shrek Wolfen, which are that's why you can't really call them werewolves, because they don't change back. So they have Shrek Wolfen, which are like werewolf soldiers. They also have Night Jaegers, which are like giant vampires, are huge with big old wings. You'll see them pop up at the bottom left of the screen every now and then. And they're working on these like weird rattlesnake troops. So the Russians don't have any of this shit, so they steal it from both sides. So they stole the animal testing from the Germans, and they're like, why have like dog soldiers when you can have bear soldiers? So they made these Ursus Infantry. So yeah, they're 100% bears. They'll always be bears. They're never going back to human. Mortal, these kits are actually, I think they're pretty easy. Those big old bears, they came in like 4 pieces. It was the bear, the head, and then the arms, and you just kind of like super glue them in. So those were crazy easy. But no, most of the kits, I know the modern day GW kits are kind of not very intuitive, but the bolt action kits the infantry are okay. Now the vehicles, oh sweet Jesus! So the vehicles are, you never know what you're gonna get. Some of the vehicles are pretty good. Some of them are like different airfigs, or some are like they come from like different companies, so you never really know how your vehicle's gonna be. Definitely do your research on the vehicle kit before you get it, because you never know what you're gonna get. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Matthew. I'm gonna build a half track. So I got the Island Assault box, and I plan on using the American half track that comes with it. I'm gonna use it as a stolen ho-ha. It counts as a ho-ha half track for the Japanese, but it's gonna be a stolen American one for my special naval landing force. So when I get around to building that, that's gonna be tough. I'm not looking forward to building that thing. Yeah, I've never built a knight or a titan, dude. I can't imagine, but I hear horror stories. So something I do recommend, because the price is really, really low, and if you're doing any traveling coming up and you have a little bit of downtime, or if you got to go anywhere like an appointment, you know, dentist appointment, DMV, anything like that, if you check Kindle, oh sorry, space, like Amazon Kindle, there are two novels for Conflict 47. They're good. There's a lot of typos, but they're super low cost, so that's kind of like the trade-off, you know. Like they're pretty cheap and they're really fast to read. They're actually pretty good. It's called The Seaforth Ladies and Going Dutch. I definitely recommend them. Yeah, the island sub box is pretty good. I already used the terrain that came with it to build bigger things of terrain for my local friendly gaming store. The little spider holes and bunkers are actually pretty cool. And like I said, it's pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Japanese get a Chiha and infantry, and then the Marines get a half track and a whole bunch of vets. Mortal, if you get back into 40k, man, you're a better man than me. Nothing gets 40k. I think it's fun. I am putting together some kill teams. I may try kill team, but I don't know if I'll ever get into 40k proper again. It's changed too much. I think. More power to the people who played it. Looks fun, but I think I'm kind of like, you know, kind of left behind. Hey, Sam, I am the motorcycle man. How's it going, buddy? Glad you can make the stream, man. Thanks for joining. It is going well. It is going well. We are painting some of our, I think they're called Ursus Infantry. I call them Ursa because it's easier and it sounds more bear-like. Right now we're just kind of working on the pants. The fur should be kind of interesting. We've already accomplished, we put a machine gun on a truck, as all trucks should be. And we put that turret on that tank, which is pretty cool. And we did our patented vineyard camo. And there's also no rule saying you have. It's just like me. There's no rule saying you have to play 40k to enjoy it. I love the lore. I like building and kit bashing some of the models. I said I just y'all were there on stream when I was working on that 10-man kill team, and so that's kind of cool. Like, so you don't have to be in the competitive scene, or you don't have to be playing all the time to enjoy 40k. The lore and the models will always be there for you, you know, and they don't expire, kind of. Yeah, because of this chat, Mortal, I'm working on. I'm about to. I have, as I say, I'm working. You see all these half unpainted models. Welcome to my life. I have the painting and modeling attention span of like squirrel. So, the next kill team I'm thinking about is making a Necron one. Super easy. I'm gonna go the Tomb World style, where you get 2 fire teams, and I'm just gonna take 2 fire teams of 4 immortals each, and just have 8 immortals, and they're gonna be all Tiki themed with like Rafa skirts and Tiki masks and stuff. It's gonna be hilarious, and that's because of the chat. And this stream is where I got the idea. You guys are awesome. I am super glad I spray primered these metal bastards, but this metal is still thirsty as hell for this paint. But luckily I'm a terrible painter. I just slap on big, heavy, thick coats anyways. So it actually kind of works out for me. And yeah, if you guys look at the bottom left of the screen, there's a slideshow of just a couple of Konflikt 47 models. If you see a model that you think looks interesting and you want to ask me a question, I'm a nerd. I'll get you the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll get it to you as soon as I can. Right, dude? They're gonna look awesome. It's like more goths, less ukulele. These guys are gonna look awesome. All because of you guys. I'm excited. The books that sucked me in was Gaunt's Ghost, and I started with Guns of Tanith, and that's still my favorite Warhammer 40k or Gaunt's Ghost book is Guns of Tanith. But then I got into the Battlefield Gothic scene, and I read all the Battlefield Gothic novels. Those were really good. Oh Sam, oh Sam, oh Sam! What a great question. I appreciate it, brother. So what Konflikt 47 is? Yeah, dude, look at the slideshow. It's like, those don't look World War II-ish. No, so there's a divergence. Likely around 1942, and it's just an alternate history. What happens is when the Americans are doing atomic testing for the Manhattan Project, they open up a rift to another world, to a different time, and they start getting technology ideas. And the Germans start getting real feisty, and so they decide to drop the only atomic bomb they have on Dresden to try and stop Germany. Well, it didn't. It killed a lot of Germans, but it also gave them their own rift. So they start getting advanced technology. And nobody gives Russ a shit. So the Soviets get pissed and declare war on everybody and start stealing stuff from the Americans. And so now you have a 3-way melee between the Allies, which is the British Commonwealth and the Americans, versus the Axis, which is Germany and Japan, against the USSR, who's on their own team. They don't give a shit. And then as it gets better and better, later on in the war, after the Battle of the Bulge, Germany does a low uppercut to the to Italy, a surprise attack, and they basically cut off northern Italy. So northern Italy goes back into being fascist and falls into the Axis, where southern Italy lines up with the Allies and becomes a monarchy. And then I want to say Finland starts fighting the Russians using German equipment. So there's just all sorts of countries going on. The Turkish army starts allying with Germany. It's just absolute insanity, all the different factions going on. And each different faction have their own different types of weapons. So they're all messing around with genetics. That's why you see the Russians have werebears. But the Japanese have compression technology. So they use these compression cannons. They have molecular suits that allow them to phase into and out of walls, so they can sneak up on stuff. Both the Germans and Japanese have zombies. The Americans have Tesla rifles and jetpacks. They have Captain America. They have super soldiers. It's pretty cool. Everybody has heavy infantry, which is kind of neat. And for urban warfare, they're starting to figure out tanks are cool, but vertical tanks or walkers are way cooler for urban warfare. So inside of city fighting, you see them using a lot more mechs and walkers. And then outside the city, they're starting to go back to their tanks, putting on weapons. Hey, thanks, Mortal. I'm just trying to build more and more interest into Konflikt 47. I'm like an unpaid ambassador, as it were. Promise I'm not sponsored. There's a long joke that I'm a GW spy. I promise I'm not. Yeah, so the rules are a lot better. They kind of changed the HE rule for bolt action. There's less templates. There's a lot more reaction. You know, as far as like when you get charged, you can shoot back, because close combat is insane for Konflikt 47, because you have zombies and werewolves and light mechs. So light mechs are real good against fighting these werebears and stuff like that. You know, because it's basically a guy in a little tin can suit. And the British figured out robotics, and so the British actually have robots, which is pretty cool. These little automatons. It's still the basic rules of bolt action, just kind of more streamlined, honestly. I mean, I don't know about sponsorship. I have a weird thing where I don't like taking money. I think like at most I may do merch, and that's really just for the fun of it. And all like proceeds of that will go towards sponsoring Konflikt 47 tournaments. I'm going to put on a Konflikt 47 tournament once a year, and that money just goes towards prizes. I don't like, nothing against people who do stream for money. I got nothing against that. I think those people are awesome. Me personally, I work a lot, and this is just what I do for fun. So I fear if I monetize it, it becomes another job. So I'm literally just here to hang out and just chat, you know? But the tournament I'm excited about. I'm reconning the area in a couple of weeks, and I'll let you guys know more details as it comes. It should be a very unique tournament, and it should be a lot of fun. But that being said, like I don't want any monetary kickbacks, but I'd love to be able to get like a 5% discount to a store somewhere for Konflikt 47 stuff. That would be cool. So I could pass the savings on to you guys. That would be pretty neat. But the tournament I'm looking to host, it'll probably be next year around October, maybe November. It'll be open to both people in the U.S. and people, you know, across the pond. Anyone can show up, but it will be held in the U.S., so I think airfare might be a bit rough for our friends across the pond. Oh, Warlord Games is already really good about that. I mean, you let them know you're doing a tournament, and they're actually pretty awesome about supporting it when they can. If you've never taken a look into, like, Warlord Games, obviously I'm biased as hell as I'm holding their model in my hands, you know, but Warlord Games compared to GW are like two separate sides of a coin, man. They're wildly different. Yes, and that's something that is awesome about bolt action or kind of Konflikt 47. So a lot of Konflikt 47 uses traditional World War II models plus some Weird War stuff, and you can't trademark World War II. You know, like American Airborne is American Airborne. You can't trademark that. So yeah, 3D printer go burr, and no one cares in bolt action or Konflikt 47. You know, like kind of you do you boo. A great example is I'm working on my German army for Konflikt 47. I'm using a lot of pulp stuff to make them kind of mummy themed. And I don't want to no, I don't want to give up this idea. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he thought of a really cool idea for proxy models for the British automatons. It's probably one of the coolest ideas I heard, but I don't want to give it away because I know he's working on it. Yeah, I've always been a bit bigger kit basher than a painter, so even when I tried to play at a local GW store, I had to like make sure, I think it was like what, like 75% of my model was GW parts. So that was always kind of weird. You know, I'm not really that big of a fan. I mean, it's one thing we were trying to proxy like guardsmen for stormtroopers, you know, or guardsmen for space marines, but I think within reason, you know, like you can't just go and 3D print a Emperor Titan and just show up one day. I mean, I get that. But, you know, some army stuff here and there, especially if it looks cool. You know, I mean, like, come on. Really cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. An old GWAT. Like I said, I recognize the acronym. Both myself and my wife are both GWAT veterans. But, oh man, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I could definitely tell a lot of people in my local bolt action scene, a lot of them are veterans themselves. And it's a mostly good crowd. Some of the older ones are a bit more like rivet counter. You know, like, they didn't have that in that time period. But they're still pretty cool guys. And that's why I like Konflikt 47. It's a lot more laid back. You know, you can have whatever paint scheme you want. You know, it's alternate history, you know. Yeah, I was looking at the price of Necrons. Like Necron warriors, and I was like, when the hell did these guys get expensive? I left in 7th and 8th. And I was like, A, why are Necrons hard to find? B, why the hell are Necrons, like warrior models, so expensive? I think it's like $40 for a box of 14. I was like, what the shit? Yeah, that's why if I do 40k again, I'm definitely doing Kill Team. Or, luckily for 3D printing, it also gave birth to our rebirth, I guess, or revitalized, I guess, is a better way of saying that, Battlefleet Gothic. Those models can be hard to find. I still have my starter kit, but now you can just 3D print whatever ships you want. So that really breathed life into the fledgling Battlefleet Gothic community. So I think where I ultimately sit on it is, you know, tabletop wargaming, no matter what game it is, it's a hobby. I'm not saying it needs to be approachable. I understand the price of these things. I can appreciate that, businesses, of course. But it doesn't need to be so extreme that only adults with disposable income can play. Like, it needs to be able to have a hobby, you know, where someone can save their allowance and maybe get a box once a month and slowly add to their army, you know? Which isn't crazy. All you have to do is just allow like popularize small scale battles and small scale games, and just the thing that gets me is the power vacuum, the constant shifting of codexes, and this army's on top, and this army's on top, and then this army's on top. That makes it hard to collect a habitual army. You know, because you're like, yay, look, I finally finished my, you know, heavy weapon teams. You're like, oh shit, now there's, you know, I don't even know what those new things are called, like those FOBs or whatever, forward operating bases, or whatever the hell they have going on. They're like super heavy weapon teams. I was like, it breaks my heart when I see Warhammer 40k models go into Legend. Like, that just hurts. Yeah, I love Battlefleet Gothic. I think one of my favorite ships is surprisingly a Chaos ship, the Styx class. I asked him about the Styx class heavy cruisers. Those are a mean monster on the tabletop. Styx class heavy cruisers. Those are probably one of the better ships I think of any fleet. Definitely one of my favorites. Well, and you guys can tell I can't paint for shit, but bear with me here. Something I've noticed is I feel like GW kits have become more complex, harder to put together, and just more detailed. You know, like, that's what I missed from GW. I miss their old, like, I remember when Cultist and Imperial Guardsmen were snap fit. You could buy 5 guys in a box in their snap fit monopose. Like, it's great for filling out an army. Like, I feel like every army should have a box like that just to fill out their hordes. I like the minimum detail. Like, I like the old Guardsmen. Minimum detail, you know, you could really kind of add stuff to them to make them different. But nowadays, everyone's just so complex. Yeah, and that's why I feel like I feel that's why a lot of people either go Chaos Knight or they go Banana Boy. They'll go Custody. And I get the power trip, the power fan. I understand the power fantasy. Everyone has that, you know, it's cool. But with knights on the table, I mean, sometimes you'll generally just stomp people, and that doesn't feel good. And then the custodians, it's like, oh look, I bought, you know, 2 start collecting boxes, and I have 2,000 points. I only spent like $400. Everybody else has like $800 armies. Are like, damn. Oh yeah, Matthew. I knew the GW manager. He's a real cool guy. Wasn't a big 40K fan, just a good business guy, and he loved painting models. He didn't care what they were. Really good at building terrain. Like I said, this guy's Walking Dead games that he would throw, his tabletop terrain was ridiculous. If you know what TT combat is, he had like all the buildings. He built legit cities. But anyways, he would hand out those. If you remember, they had like those little Marines, those little Space Marines you could paint and take home with you. He had a whole bunch of them. And so he would just kind of give them away for free. No one cared. And so I'd start collecting them, like, not too much, but like once a month I'd take one home. And I used those monopose guys to build my Deathwatch army. A lot of them are those cheap little, like, free Space Marines you got. Yeah, I mean, they were legal Warhammer 40K bottles, and I spent the money. I bought the Deathwatch upgrade sprue. You know, I slapped on the new shoulders, added on their fancy weapons, you know, and I painted them different chapters, you know, but of course they'd have their silver Deathwatch thing, and easy peasy. But honestly, I think that's something GW could do. Either release those push fit models. Actually, you know what? That's exactly what they should do. Release those cheap monopose push fit models, because that'll combat some of the money that you save driving people to 3D printing. You know, that'll help the Horde armies specifically. You know, I'm talking Necron warriors, Imperial guardsmen, you know, orcs, Tyranids, you know, all those like real little cheap Horde guys. Bolt action, I have the opposite problem. I keep snagging boxes of these Japanese riflemen. When I see them go on sale, when I see it hit like $33 or lower on Amazon, I'll generally snag a box every now and then. So I literally have boxes, you know, full of these guys, and it's 30 guys to a box, and they're sprued where I can give machine guns, knee mortars, lunge mines, katanas for days. So I'm like, man, I have way too many of these guys to build. So I'm way behind on my Imperial Japanese building. I have an embarrassing amount of them. All right, team. So far, not a bad start. Not a bad start. about 3/4 of the stream, and we finished. We painted a Type 96 machine gun, medium machine gun, and we put that bad boy on our truck. So you can see right there, we got a machine gun on the truck. We put it over the left side because this is definitely not an Isuzu truck. So we've said basically the Japanese stole it, or a truck they found, you know, give it a paint scheme to match their vehicles. And because it's likely on a British island where they drive on the right hand side, we put the machine gun over the left side of the cab. And the tank was already painted, but we did knock out our turret. We gave it a pretty legit camo. Kind of matched with what we already had. So a lot of people, just a heads up, little Tiki tactical talk. People talk ish about Japanese tanks. They are small. The worst thing you do with a Japanese tank is fight a tank. That is 100% not what they're for. So what these tanks are for is to harass infantry. So the light compression cannon helps out a lot if you're fighting like medium armor or anything like that. But what you can do is, so what you do is you want to turn that bad boy around, and that gives you the bow machine gun, and that rear machine gun that's unique to Japanese tanks. You can spin around, and that gives you 2 medium machine guns, you know, and 8-up armor. So you basically have 2 medium machine guns with 8-up armor driving around wrecking stuff. That's if you don't even use the compression cannon, so that's actually pretty good. Oh, hey, thanks, Mortal. Thanks for swinging by, man. I appreciate swinging by the stream. I look forward to you playing Halo. I'll show up and harass you in your stream. But thanks for swinging by, Mortal. It means a lot, brother. Yeah, so for the Japanese, our tanks are there to harass infantry or kind of break up static units, like swing around the side and harass their machine gunners or mortals or snipers and stuff like that. For anti-tank, you need to use your lunge mines. That's what they're there for. Best trade in the world, I'm going to trade one Japanese guy with a bamboo stick and a shape charge for a Sherman. That's a trade I'll make all day long, you know? So don't try and tank fight with the Japanese. That being said, Konflikt 47, we do get access, and I have one coming in. We get our medium battle mech, our Locust. That thing's pretty gnarly. So that may change because he's big and giant, so that might actually work. But with everything else, from their tanks to their scorpion walkers, you're just there to knock out the infantry. So usually I paint all models one part at a time. Like I'll paint all 3 pants, then I'll paint all 3, you know, leather pouches and stuff like that. But I've never painted these guys before, so I want to get one down fully, so I have the paint scheme to paint the other 2. So now I'm moving on to kind of painting his half man, half bear pig flesh. Oh, I have one, Matt, if you want to take a look at it here, give me a minute, I'll pull out my Scorpion. Rules-wise, they're gnarly. They're more gnarlier than I thought. When I first read them, I thought they can only take the light compression cannon or the 2 medium machine guns in the front. No, they can take both. So there's a Japanese Scorpion light walker. They have Recce, they have 2 machine guns in the front, and if you want to pay for it, you can also get a light compression cannon in the tail. So size-wise, they're not too crazy. Super good recon vehicles. So they'll kind of replace your armored car spot. I love my Type 92, but Scorpion's a fair trade for it. Yeah, I do use all Citadel paints, with the exception of like super cheap Apple barrel paint for like basing. Other than that, I use Citadel paints. Not a huge shill. It's just a lot of my D&D models that I paint. I used all these Citadel paints and I took pictures of what paints I used. So when I need to touch them up, I already have kind of what goes with them. So I just kind of stuck with Citadel. But these contrast paints are legit. I will stay behind them. They're pretty awesome. Yeah, luckily if you ever come across a guy called Mad Larkin, he hooked me up with the correct white paint. That was the hardest thing I had in my old world army. It's mostly based in white. Finding a good white paint was a nightmare, but he steered me straight. Yeah, I've seen those monument paints. They look alright, but contrast paint, man, this is it's definitely been a game changer for me. It has helped me speed paint many a platoon. I could definitely say I'm sure there's other speed paints out there. Truth be told, but I'm happy with my Citadel contrast paints. They're not too shabby. And I've only spilt one as I close this one and knock on wood. I've only spilt one, and it was blue. I was not amused. So, at least from my perspective, these streams have been going pretty well. I appreciate the engagement and everything, but I think I'm gonna keep the same hours. I think I'm gonna be pushing out a little bit. Probably starting tomorrow. I think I'll probably push out and maybe try 4 hours. See how 4 hours feels versus 2 hours. I gotta get these valves done anyway, so it's kind of a good idea, you know, to kind of punch glass in case of emergency and stream for a few more hours. But I'll stop at 2 hours today, but I think tomorrow I might try 4 hours, see how it feels. Nice, yeah, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I don't want to get you trouble at work or anything, but yeah, man, it's nice. It's nice having someone in the comment section. I know there's a couple people in there, so I definitely appreciate that. But like I said, I don't want to put you out or anything. But yeah, if helping shift go by better, that's even better. All right, not bad, not bad for stream's work. We finished the machine gun on the truck. We finished the turret on the tank. And we've got the pants and the skin painted on the first bear on our template model. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Yes, I'm glad you asked. So the American heavy infantry, they're usually packing light machine guns, not even assault rifles. Hold on. No, I think the American heavy infantry carry assault rifles. The British heavy infantry, the Galahad suits, carry light machine guns, and that's what the friendly Italians use. The Germans heavy infantry use assault rifle, and they can carry a light machine gun like as a team. The Japanese, their heavy infantry are super cool. So they're not heavy infantry per se, they're battle exoskeletons. What's cool is they're modular, and all the other countries' heavy infantry, they take up, they count as large infantry, so they take up extra room in a transport, right? The Japanese ones don't. They're very streamlined, and more importantly, they break them into like 3 separate sections. You have the anti-tank suits, which carry, Panzerschrecks. You have the close assault ones, which carry, I want to say, SMGs or compression guns, or compression rifles, and katanas. And then you have their battle suits. So their battlefield exosuits carry submachine guns and a grenade launcher, which is pretty awesome because they have high mobility, better armor, IR vision, and they carry an SMG plus a grenade launcher. I mean, it's a pretty take-all-come style loadout for those suits. But yeah, heavy infantry are generally a lot more survivable. They're easier to take out if you're using either a heavy machine gun or a light autocannon. So that's why you start seeing models like that heavy sniper team or those anti-tank rifles, which a lot of people laugh at in bolt action. They become super damn useful in Konflikt 47. Yeah, it's a huge boost the Americans have in Konflikt 47 is they can take heavy machine guns on a lot of different vehicles and stuff like that. Take the heavy machine gun, because when you're punching through zombies and werewolves, I promise you, our heavy infantry, you're gonna want that heavy machine gun. Yeah, if you want, I can show you. I can show you mine. I have a couple of them. So here, let me bust those out. So you can tell, you know, with my camo style, I gave them the little like green on top of their helmets. I painted their samurai armor kind of green. Originally I went with red, but I ended up liking green better. So this is an example of the submachine gun and grenade launcher. So that's like kind of like a battle suit. Here's an example of a close combat one. He's got a submachine gun and a sword, which is kind of cool. And then here's one that's carrying a light machine light machine gun by himself. So that's kind of cool. So the way I usually run those is in my little like demo armies. I kind of break them down. You can have one. You can actually have a officer in a battle suit without having to have any kind of heavy infantry in the Japanese, which is kind of cool. Or you can just break two of them up and just use them as like a anti tank team or the Panzer Streak. Generally, the best way to do it. Yeah, my only complaint about the Japanese in Konflikt 47 is they took away my beloved lunge mines. So I had to come up with a new way to fight armor. And there's a shit ton more armor in Konflikt 47. So that's why with the start collecting Japanese set, when I got those 5 exosuit guys, I was like, well, this looks like 2 heavy weapon teams and an officer. I'm actually really happy how that compression turret for the Kaishinto turned out. It's not bad. That's why I say it's always good to have like one good camo scheme per army that you can just replicate, you know, that way all your vehicles and stuff match. Yeah, I think tomorrow we'll start off, give him another coat on his skin, and then I think we'll go with his battle harness. We'll make that like kind of like a light green. We'll put leather on his boots and on his ammo pouches, and on his I guess like muscle cuffs he's wearing. You know, those leather cuffs. And then we'll dry brush the fur and go for the face. And then once we have this guy done, we have our template for the other two. Yeah, it's a theming I do in my army. I use the green on the helmet. I use the grass on the helmet to kind of mark my special weapons guys. It's like machine gunners or machine gun loaders or mortarmen, you know? Because sometimes it can be hard to see from a distance, like who's carrying what weapon. So I generally put those little grass on top of their helmets to kind of mark them as special weapon guys. It also kind of makes sense because they'd be the ones that be most static, you know, so they'd need most cover and concealment. It all kind of like works in my head. But yeah, I thank everybody for showing up. I think it was a fun stream. I had a good time. There'll be more pictures in the bottom left for tomorrow's stream. I'll add some more pictures in there so you can see more units. And tomorrow I'll try and stream for 4 hours. You know, add some more music in so it's not the same tracks, and kind of see where that goes. I'm pretty excited. But in the meantime, if you're interested in some more lore in Konflikt 47 or some more explanations of it, there's a lot of good videos out there. Different channels are covering now, which is awesome. I'm super happy about that. I have a couple of videos out that explain some of the basics of the lore. I'm only up to 1945 in some of the theaters, so I'm working on some more videos. But if you look at the shorts, there are shorts that cover some of these units. But alright, with that, I'm going to go ahead and log off for today, and I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, hopefully for a little bit longer. And we'll see how it goes. So again, thanks for joining. We actually got a lot done. Pretty stoked. And we'll see what all we get done tomorrow. Maybe we'll finish all the bears tomorrow. That'd be pretty legit. So I can start on my next pledge, which will be some actual Konflikt 47 tanks and walkers, which will be pretty neat. So thanks again for showing up. Stay safe and stay hydrated. If you're going to bed, I hope you sleep well. You know, you definitely earned it. And if you're staying awake and at work, I hope you have a good day because you've definitely earned it. So you guys take it easy, and I'll see you next time.